I'm Jessie Budzinski. I'm an assistant department chair at Purdue Global, and I'm here today with Donna Halper, who is an adjunct in our communications department. And she is going to share with us some of her experience in the field of communication. So, Donna, if you don't mind just sharing some of the things that you've been able to do in the field.
Oh, it's a wonderful field. I love it. I knew from the time I was a kid I wanted to get into communication and media. It's where my heart is. Love teaching about it too.
Mm.
So, what have I done? I've done 4 decades in broadcasting. I was the first woman just about every place I ever worked. In fact, I was inducted into the Massachusetts Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2023, and I got the Pioneer Broadcaster Award. I'm the first woman to ever win it.
Amazing.
I was a DJ, I was a music director, I was an assistant program director. I would have been a program director, but back then, program directors were men.
Mhm.
And because I was female, they evidently didn't think I could do it. So I started my own consulting business. And I was a consultant for 28 years with
Mm.
clients all over North America. I trained people for jobs in broadcasting. I did market research. I hired people, had a great time, got to see all kinds of interesting places. And along the way, I also was taking courses
Mm.
because I do love teaching. Okay. And this is communication is the kind of flexible field where this is a skill set that can help you in so many different
Right.
ways. And
Right.
as somebody who trained announcers, news directors, sports directors, I love sports, and I trained them for jobs. I also trained managers. So, as someone who did a lot of training, I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of training too.
Mm.
Okay. So I got a couple of master's degrees. And then as time went on, I worked in the industry, like I said, for 4 decades. And I also was doing freelance writing and reporting about it for media magazines like Radio World, like the Broadcasters Desk Reference, et cetera, Billboard, and others. And so there I was, keeping busy, minding my own business. And then the whole industry consolidated.
Mm.
And I'm a survivor. So I just went back to school.
Yep.
And one of the things I love about Purdue Global is it's never too late to follow
Right.
your dream. I
Right.
went back to school at 55, got my PhD at 64, still at it. No interest in retiring. I love what I do. You should take my courses. You'll like them too.
That's amazing. So I was going to ask how you found the field of communication. You said you knew from very early on that that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it kind of found me.
Mm.
So once upon a kingdom far away, there was this very lonely kid who grew up in the 50s. And that kid was me. And I was different from all the other girls in terms of I didn't want to get married young. I didn't want kids. No offense to those who have them. I love them. I think they're adorable. I love reading them stories. And then I love giving them back to their parents because I've always known that I am in the percentage of the universe that doesn't want children.
Mhm.
So I knew I wanted to marry at some point, but having a career was really important. I don't know where I got it from. In the
Mm.
50s, girls were not encouraged to have careers. But
Right.
like I said, I was different and I got mocked and I got bullied. Donna, what's your point? My point is that the people that made me feel encouraged were the DJs I heard on the radio.
Oh, wow.
And the DJs were like my friends. They played the music I liked. Yeah, they were all dudes, but they were friendly dudes. They didn't
Right.
mock, they didn't bully, they didn't insult. This was not the era of shock radio. This was the era where radio was friendly and funny and personality driven. And my favorite DJ was a guy named Arnie Ginsberg. You've
Mm.
probably never heard of him unless you're from Boston. Arnie talked like this. I'm not making it up. Arnie, talk like that. And that was his natural. He had never had been expected to be a DJ. He was an engineer, but he got
Huh.
pressed into being on the air one day, and everybody loved him. In a world of like big, deep voice, fake sounding announcers, Arnie just sounded like your neighbor, your friend. People adored him.
Yeah.
And I'd listen to Arnie, and I'm like, if Arnie can do it, I
Mm,
can do it. Because one of the myths was that you had to have a certain kind of voice to be on the
right.
radio, and women didn't have that. Well, Arnie didn't either, and everybody loved Arnie.
Right.
So, and I'm not mocking him. He really did talk like that.
Yeah.
And I got a chance years later to meet him and bow
Oh,
before him.
wow.
Yeah, and bow before him and
Oh,
say to him, I wouldn't have a broadcasting career if it weren't for you.
oh,
And
that's
one day
amazing.
I'm going to write a book about Boston radio, and you're going to be on the cover. Oh, my neighbors and friends, I wrote that book. I wrote that book
Mm.
in 2010. And guess who's on the cover?
Oh, that's awesome.
And Arnie loved it. He was just really moved by it because, years later, you want to know if anybody remembers you. I remember Arnie.
Right.
And so
Right.
the bottom line is there's a dance song from the 80s called Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. Yeah,
Mm.
that's my story. Last night a
Oh, that's
DJ saved my
amazing.
life, okay? And I made a promise that if I could mentor people, I always would. Because even though Arnie had never met me at the time, he did mentor me. He
Right.
encouraged me. He inspired me. And don't you want that? Don't you want professors and counselors and business colleagues that inspire you and mentor you? I want to be that kind of person. And I've
Right.
wanted that my entire career.
Right, absolutely. And that kind of transitions to my next question, which is about our students and about your work now at PG as an instructor. So you mentioned understanding who our students are because you yourself have been a lifelong learner. So what do you, I guess two questions. What do you feel like you bring to PG and to our students, and what advice do you have for them?
So, what I bring to PG is 4 decades of broadcast experience. And I mean, I didn't just read it somewhere, I
Right.
lived it. Name me somebody who's in classic rock. There's a real good chance I met them.
Mm,
Name me a rock band that played anywhere in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even into the early 2000s. Chances are I know them.
mm,
As recently as a few weeks ago, I was called to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to be on stage with the rock band Rush
mm,
as they announced that they were reforming. Why were you there, Donna? Well, because I'm credited with discovering the band. Their first
mhm.
2 albums are dedicated to me. I'm in a
Amazing.
documentary about them called Beyond the Lighted Stage. And we've kept in touch for 51 years.
Incredible.
So, what I can do is I can bring a combination of book learning, which is important,
Mhm.
a combination of critical thinking, like being able to recognize when something is factual and when something is somebody's opinion.
Mhm.
And I could bring that in addition to my real world media experience. So you get the best of both worlds. You get
Right.
somebody who's been there and done that, and someone who also knows how to research about it, write about it, and teach about it. And ask my students, they'll tell you, wow, she's enthusiastic. Yeah, and it's not an act. Um, my advice to students is you got a good thing going here. And I mean that, okay? When I say you got a good thing going, when I was in college, the possibility of taking online classes didn't exist. The possibility of even going to college later in life kind of didn't exist. My poor mother, God rest her soul, always wished she could have gone to college, but she was raised in an era where women were not encouraged to go. So she vicariously went through me. But
Yeah.
even I would think to myself, boy, wouldn't it be great if there were some courses she could take? But there weren't.
Mm,
And she should have been
yeah.
able to get her degree. She would have had fun with it. Okay. So today we're living in a world where I can sit in my messy office here in Boston and talk to people from all over everywhere and have a good time doing it and maybe just maybe teach them something. So, students, if you've got a chance to learn from our professors, not just me, yeah, I like what I do, but we've got a great bunch of professors, and I
Mhm.
mean that sincerely. They come from all walks of life. They've all been out there doing the things they're teaching about. If you want to study, if you want to learn, it's never too late. Come and join us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Donna. That's great advice, and I know students are really gonna take a lot from this video. I appreciate you taking the time.
Are you kidding me? It was my pleasure.